Welcome back to WeRaceDiecast, and welcome to the Contender Series. It's been a long time coming, but it's finally here, so let's talk about it. 16 drivers were invited for a chance at the title. The league will have a champion and 15 ranked drivers. As the league expands, new drivers will be able to enter the league as well. A key feature in the series is that it's driver-based, not car-based. So the cars you see in the opening tournament, you won't see again here in the Contender Series. But the drivers will be invited back to compete with a new build and a chance to move up the rankings. League races will be themed, have different rules, different number of competitors, but the overall goal remains the same: win. And if you do well, you can move up the rankings and potentially challenge the champion for his title. Now, for new drivers who want to enter the league, it doesn't come free. You'll have to win to get in. On a regular basis, we'll host entry races. An entry race will pair a number of new non-league drivers against each other, and the winner of the race will join the league as an unranked competitor. From there, just like any other league driver, they'll have the opportunity to compete to move up the rankings. More information will come as we get this thing going, but we have a link in the description to the full set of rules if you're interested. Today we kick off the opening 16 driver bracket tournament to determine who will be the initial champion. We got groups 1 and 2 running today, so let's get into it. Let's meet group 1 drivers. Here we go with group 1. First up is Derek Reap, also known as the Doc. He's representing Doc's Speed Shop, driving a Plymouth Barracuda, sporting the number 51, and weighing in at 58 grams. He'll be going up against Chad Giron, or Daddy G from G4 Diecast. The number 4 driver maxed out his weight at 60 grams and is driving a Lamborghini Veneno. Next we have Ryan Lopez, also known as Arlo. He'll be representing Arlo Racing in the multicolored 89 Ford Thunderbird, which happens to be his favorite casting. He also maxed out his weight at 60 grams. Last up is James Kirk Elliott, coming all the way from Scotland, representing Fractal Panda Racing. He's driving the number 8 Ford GT40, also weighing in at the max weight. Here we go, race 1. Derek and Chad up front, Ryan and James in the back. Derek out quick in the 51 car, a little loose, and Chad goes on the inside. Chad now a little squirrely out of turn 4, and Derek's right there. Smooth around turn 6, and Chad Giron will take the win. Derek really quick off the start gate, gets loose out of the turn, leaving space for Chad to get around. Chad will have the early lead in points. Starting in the pole next lap, he can really put some pressure on the other guys. Let's see how it goes. Race 2. Chad and James in row 1. Derek slides back with Ryan in row 2. Derek tries following Chad through the turn. James in the number 8 Ford isn't having it. James now putting pressure on Chad over the bridge. Can't catch him, and Chad picks up win number 2. Ryan coming in backwards. What happened there? Hits the wall and spins out of turn 6. On the wall over the bridge, nearly going over, but able to hold on to it and get across the line. Drivers sometimes struggle around turn 6. It's a long straight leading into it. You come in too hot and on the wrong line, you typically hit the wall and some go spinning. For points, Chad now with back-to-back wins to open up the group. He has a massive lead and we got 2 laps to go. Top 2 will move on, and it's looking like the bottom 3 will be battling for the second slot. 2 more to go. Third lap. James and Ryan out front, Chad and Derek in the back. A little tighter out of the gate, but James gets the nudge from Chad and will lead them off. Chad following through. James lengthens his lead, and Chad stalls out over the bridge. Ryan smacks into him, and Derek gets around. Chad straightens back out like nothing happened. They all finish. I'm assuming James got the win. Let's take a look at that hit again. Ryan not able to avoid the impact, opts to hit him on the inside line. Slows him down, and Derek able to make a move around him. Chad with the mistake, costing Ryan at least 1 point. Can't be happy with that. Check out James from the turn 5 cam, spinning down below. Not sure if he was showing off or having issues. Either way, lucky no one was around to challenge him as he was coming in for the win. Chad now with 13 points, officially clinching a spot in the semifinals. Meanwhile, James with that win moves up to second ahead of Derek. Ryan back at 4 is going to need a little luck to have a chance to moving on. But regardless, he's going to want to put as much points on the board as possible. Even if you don't move on, the performance of the drivers will determine their spots on the ranking board. The higher up on the board you are, the closer you are at challenging the champion. So even if you don't win this opening tournament, there will always be an opportunity to work your way up the rankings and challenge for the title. We got one lap to go. Let's get to it. Final lap. Only Chad safe in the number 4 Lambo. Ryan and Derek out front, and James with a 2-point lead in the back with Chad. Derek showing his speed, able to get around from the outside line. Chad makes a move on Ryan and gets under him. Around turn 6, and Derek will take the win. James in the back tagging Ryan across the line. James has to be a little frustrated with the outcome. Coming into the last lap with a 2-point lead over Derek and Ryan, starting from the back row, he needed to be up in the action. A little slow out the gate, never really had a chance to get back in it. In either case, Ryan Lopez and James Elliott officially eliminated from the opening tournament. James will end up ranking higher on the board in comparison to Ryan based solely on points, but where they land won't be determined till after all 4 groups from round 1 have raced. One thing is certain, for Chad Guerin and Derek Reep, both are moving on to the semifinals. And since half the competition will be eliminated after round 1, that guarantees at least a number 7 ranking or higher. Congrats to Daddy G and the Doc for moving on. One more group to go tonight. Let's get to group 2. Here we are with group 2. First up is Bob Stoner. Sneaky Bob is representing Vapor Racing in the number 21, weighing in at 60 grams. He's driving an ID Audi R8. He's going up against Andy Flying McBride, sponsored by Madness Motorsports, in the number 24 car, another 60 gram, one of 2 in this tournament in an 08 Lancer Evolution. Next up is Oliver James. He's representing Transport Diecast in the number 19 Mazda Savannah, another casting that was chosen by 2 drivers in the tournament. He is coming in at 59 grams. Last up is Robert Manor. He's your favorite live commentator, Rubber Toe, the number 80 representing Monster Motorsports, weighing in at 59 grams and driving the Dodge Challenger. Alright, let's do this. Race 1, Bob Stoner and Andy McBride in row 1, Oliver James and Robert Manor in row 2. Bob out to a great start, leading them out. Andy and Oliver getting into it out of the turn, and Oliver slingshots by. Robert taking a look on Andy, but Andy able to hold him off. They come around turn 6. Robert gets hung up on the wall, able to finish, assuming Sneaky Bob way out front with the win. Let's take a look. Indeed, gets the easy win thanks to that early contact with Oliver and Andy. Once he got some open track, he was gone. Bob will take the early lead, followed by Oliver, Andy, and then Robert. We got 3 more to go, still anyone's group. Race 2. Andy and Robert will share the front row. Bob slides back with Oliver. Andy out front, and Bob sneaks around as well. Andy gets sideways, and he flips. Robert gets around. Oh, and Oliver comes in. Andy goes over the bridge. Woo! Oh, man. Robert and Oliver will finish. Hopefully Andy's okay. What a fall. Bob also stalling out after turn 6. Not sure what happened there. Still shaking a bit from that dive off the bridge. Andy gets loose after turn 4. Bob tries sneaking around. Robert then sees an opportunity, goes high on the turn. Andy flips, and Oliver plows right into him, and then he goes over. Man, Andy getting it from every driver, every angle. I've never seen that before. And wait a minute, we're getting word that Andy is okay. They got his car flipped over, and it looks like he wants to continue racing. Goes to show you the resilience of these drivers and how competitive they are. With Group 1 being so smooth, not expecting something like this, but hey, everyone's okay. Let's go racing. Oliver and Robert jump up to the top with 6 points, 1 point ahead of Bob, and Andy back at 2 points. Now in the hole with the DNF. Still not over. We got 2 more laps to go. Well then, race 3. Robert and Oliver up front, Andy and Bob in the back. Let's see if Andy can recover from that crazy fall. Rob gets out front, Andy and Oliver side by side, and Andy moves into second. Oh, and he flips again. Robert takes it all the way, but Andy flipping over once again. Whew, makes me question if he should be on the track after a fall like that. It could have been his nerves getting the better of him. Either way, that's DNF number 2, definitely not his night. Back at 2 points, he's not going to be able to move on. Still needs to get points on the board to compete for his position in the rankings. Robert up top with 11, Oliver back 2 points with 9, and Bob with 7. All 3 still competitive for the top 2 spots. No one is safe. We got 1 more race to go. Final lap. Oliver and Bob in the front row, Robert and Andy in the back. Nicely grouped going into the turn. Oliver sideways out front, him and Bob battling for second, and Bob takes it. Bob in the lead through the final turn. Oliver gets into the wall and spins. Here comes Andy, and he flips across the line. Andy on his roof for the majority of the night. And look at that. Gets by Oliver at the last second on his roof. What a finish. Rubber Toe and Sneaky Bob end up on top with 12. Oliver back a single point. Andy making an impact at the end, stealing 1 from Oliver. That boy may need to get checked after all the hits he took today. Definitely not the race he thought he would have, but here's to just surviving the night at this point. Oliver James and Andy McBrien officially eliminated from the tournament. For Robert Manor and Bob Stoner, congratulations for advancing, moving on to the semifinals. And here are your 4 drivers moving on today. That's the end of the show. Next week we have groups 3 and 4 of the opening tournament of Contender Series. Let us know in the comments if you enjoyed the show, what was your favorite moment, who you're rooting for, and we'll see you in the next video.